Well, the good times have stalled for the Colorado Rockies as they end up losing on this Wednesday evening to the Washington Nationals. Your final score in this one, 6-1. A pretty non-competitive game from the Rockies, who never led in this game. We're pretty much, they were technically behind the eight ball in every facet of this ball game. Starting pitching, a little rough. Bullpen, a little rough. We'll break it all down for you tonight on your Locked On Rockies postcast. Rockies still have a chance to win the series tomorrow, so keep our fingers crossed and hope that they can do that. But let's get into it, folks. Locked On Rockies postcast starts right now.
You are Locked On Rockies postcast, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, yo, yo. Hope everybody is doing all right out there on this Wednesday. I am your host, Aniello Piro. Hope everybody is staying dry. I apologize if maybe you hear some thunder in the background. It sounds like it's calmed down a little bit out there, but I got home and the lightning was right above me. I was a little worried that maybe my power would be out or my Wi-Fi wouldn't be working, but we're going to keep on keeping on here on the Locked On Rockies postcast. So for whatever reason, if this thing, goes black or whatever, it's probably because my Wi-Fi went out because it is coming down right now. But the Rockies tonight losing to the Nationals 6-1. As we said there in the open, a pretty non-competitive game from the Rockies. And we'll break it all down for you right here on your Locked On Rockies postcast. But this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. More from our friends over at Prize Picks here in just a few minutes. But the Rockies were, I don't want to say riding high, but they were certainly feeling pretty good about themselves. Winners of 3 of 4 entering into this game last night. Obviously, Colorado took care of business against the Nationals on, that would have been what? Today's Wednesday, so that would have been Tuesday in the series opener. They won that game last night 3-1. And, they had won 3 of 4. They won that weekend series against the San Diego Padres. And look, the Washington Nationals aren't exactly a creme de la creme franchise right now. It's not like the 2019 World Series club. So this series has been a little bit of an opportunity. I think maybe a little bit of a barometer test for the Rockies against a team that is somewhat similar to them in skill. And obviously the Nationals have not much better, but they're 10 wins better than the Rockies. Colorado at 47-80. That's their 80th loss of the season. My goodness, they are going to probably lose 100 games, folks, and probably like 105 plus. So they're at 47-80, fifth place in the National League West. And the Washington Nationals are at 57-70. So, not exactly anything to, run home and tell mom about the Nationals record per se. They're in fourth place in the National League East. But, when I see the Rockies come in, or not come in, but they take care of business at home over the weekend against a strong playoff contending team in the San Diego Padres, a division rival at that, and then for them to, win that game last night and then just lay an egg tonight, it's certainly frustrating to say the least. I'm sure the fans are upset and frustrated. I'm sure, it's not just the fans that are upset. The players are probably a little frustrated and whatnot. But, we got to start with the pitching here with this one. And we broke it down yesterday for you on the Locked On Rockies postcast. Tanner Gordon, the 26-year-old right-handed pitcher, got the start tonight from the Rockies. 2019 overall, or 2019 6th-round pick from Atlanta with the Rockies here now. He's 0-5 with a 7.55 earned run average on the season. He goes 4 innings pitched tonight, 8 hits, 5 runs, all of them earned, 1 walk and 2 strikeouts. So, at least he kept things under control from a walks perspective, but everything else for the most part just not working out in Mr. Tanner Gordon's favor. And, I think it was in the final segment of the show last night where we talked about how the Rockies were leaning into this youth movement a little bit, right? Getting rid of a guy like Elias Diaz, giving a guy like Tanner Gordon a start. Chavilli, with the close yesterday with Victor Vodnik, who's dealing with, I don't want to say an injury, but I think it was, I read something that some soreness in his shoulder here potentially. So he's just not 100%, held out of last night's game for precaution. And so we'll have to see how it all kind of shakes out. He did not pitch tonight, did Victor Vodnik. He's been like the one guy in that Rockies bullpen that you're like, all right, like maybe they got something here, right? Or it could at least be serviceable on a semi-consistent basis. So we shall see how it all shakes out moving forward for the Rockies down the stretch this season. But like I said, guys, Tanner Gordon just not getting it going for the Rockies today. He did have a clean first frame. Only gave up a single there, but no runs allowed there in the first inning. But then Washington was able to scrap across a run there in the second inning, which is frustrating. You know, Luis Garcia flew out there to right field for the first out of the bottom half of the second inning, but then Jose Tena hits a weak single to third base. Ryan McMahon, you know, kind of one of those chopper, slow roller type plays, unable to make the play there. And then Andres Chaparro hits a single to right field that moves Tena to third. So the Nationals, have themselves runners on the corners with one out, which is always, it's like a devil's advocate situation. It's like on one hand, right, you've got the runner on first with less than two outs. So you're trying to get that ground ball, weak contact, or, moderate contact so you can turn a double play efficiently and not even have to, worry about that run coming across from third. But that just did not happen here. Is Joey Gallo, a name that I forgot about. To be honest with you guys, I didn't even know Joey Gallo was on the Washington Nationals. And I think he was out with an injury for I'll be honest, I don't pay much attention to Nationals baseball whatsoever, unless they're playing the Rockies or the Mets. And Joey Gallo, man, what a fall from grace. Like he was hitting like eighth in the line. I mean, I guess I could just check for you instead of just guessing. Joey Gallo tonight hitting eighth in the lineup. He's hitting 167 on the year. And of course, he's the guy that busts this game open for the Washington Nationals and gets this scoring started. So with runners on the corners there, Joey Gallo rips his eighth double of the season. This one straight to center field. Brenton Doyle comes with the play, but that allows Jose Tena to come around to score. And it could have been a lot worse because Andres Chaparro was trying to come around to score on that one as well with a double from Joey Gallo, and he ends up getting thrown out. He ends up getting thrown out on this game, or on this play, a little bit of a relay from Doyle to Rogers to the catcher and whatnot. So it could have been a lot worse for the Rockies there in the bottom of the second inning, but lo and behold, they are able to figure out a way to get out of that inning. So you'll love to see that. But of course it would all just kind of boil over from there. The third inning is where this game really got out of hand for the Washington Nationals. Alex called it off the bottom of the third inning there with a single. And then Tanner Gordon was able to get C.J. Abrams to strike out swinging and then shortly thereafter, James Wood hits a single. That gets Alex called to third. So we find ourselves in a little bit of a deja vu situation there as we did in the second inning with runners on the corners and only one out. And then from there, Kilbert Ruiz hits a single. Once again, a little bit of deja vu to center field. Brenton Doyle comes up with it, brings Alex Call around to score. James Wood on second. And the game gets absolutely busted open in the at-bat shortly thereafter as Luis Garcia belts his 15th field. Hitters count 1-0. Nationals already with a 2-0 lead in this one. I got a little fly in my apartment. I'm going to have to deal with that after the show. We got an in-person viewer here on the show tonight, folks. But 1-0 count. Nationals up 2-0. Bottom of the third inning, and Luis Garcia down the middle. It just absolute sweet spot, absolute money shot. If you're Luis Garcia, like that is the pitch that you are looking for in this instance. And lo and behold, that breaks this game open to a 5-0 Washington Nationals lead. And then really beyond that, not a whole lot cooking in this game, right? I mean, the Rockies end up scoring a run there in the top half of the seventh inning. Washington added their sixth and final run in the bottom half of the sixth inning. So, it was that third inning, and it's funny, not funny, but, what's the name of the game in baseball? Like, it feels like traditional National League Baseball singles, bunts, sacrifices, a little bit of the old school type of way, right? We see so often now in the last 10 to 15 years that a lot of these guys are home run or bust. And you saw it kind of work out in the Nationals' favor tonight because when you've got a couple, I think I talked about it last night because Gomber gave up a solo shot in that game. And you never want to give up a home run, but if you're going to give up a home run, you want it to be with nobody on base so you can limit the damage. And for Luis Garcia to go out there and belt a 3-run home run, I mean, all that does is make things extra difficult for the Rockies to try to come back in this game. So it pays off for them there in the Washington Nationals. Luis Garcia Jr. is 15th long ball of the season. From there, Washington, as we mentioned, gets an insurance run in the bottom half of the 6th inning, and the lone run of the night comes for the Rockies in the top half of the 7th off the bat of Brendan Rodgers, who ripped his 24th double of the season. That brought around Ryan McMahon to score, who had reached base a little bit earlier on in the inning. But that's all she wrote for the Rockies tonight, folks. 6-1 loss, frustrating game. And, I was talking with my guy Ryan Blackburn from Mile High Sports on my drive home, and he was like, he covers the Nuggets for us. And he was like, what can I do? This and that. Like, can I help? Like, what should we be working on? All that. I was like, brother, we're in the dog days. And it made me think about the Rockies. And I know he's a Nuggets guy, but we really are in just life in general in the dog days of the sports calendar. And this is the portion of the baseball season in particular where things get a little wishy-washy, right? You've been playing games for 3-4 months consecutively now, essentially every single day, or at least 5 to 6 times a week. The wear and tear of the season, I think, starts to catch up to these players a little bit at this point in the year. And you're going to have just some ugly games. There's been ugly games since game 1 for the Rockies. And here we are, with about 5 weeks left in the season to play, and they're still just as ugly. But at the end of the day, disappointing outcome for Colorado as they lose this one 6-1 to the Washington Nationals. Okay, folks, let's hit our first break. When we come back, we'll continue along with the conversation right here on your Locked On Rockies postcast. Stick with us. Back in just a few minutes talking Rockies baseball. All right, you guys, let me tell you about our friends over at eBay Motors, because passion, drive, and patience, it's the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions, they do apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to customers in the United States. And folks, I could not have enough good things to say about our friends over at eBay Motors. Millions of parts for your MVP. Win every time with parts that fit your ride. And I have a ride or die. I'm still driving the same car that I've had since I got my license, and she's treated me well. I've paid it off, right? It's my ride or die, baby. It's been with me since the jump. Why would I get rid of it if it's still working great? But I can tell you this, if any issues ever come up with my car, I'm not going to the dealership. I'm not going to get ripped off. I'm going to eBay Motors, because they have millions of parts for your ride or die. Win every time with those parts over at eBay Motors, folks. I know a lot of you out there, cars are expensive in this day and age. Who wants to drop $40,000, $30,000, $20,000? Obviously more. Some people spend 6 figures on their cars. Who wants to spend that right now? It's election season, right? Save your pennies, folks. Go to eBay Motors and check out our friends. Let them know that Locked On Rockies sent you, and you won't be disappointed. Again, millions of parts for your MVP. Win every time with parts that fit your ride. Only at eBay Motors. All right, welcome on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast. Hope everybody is hanging in out there as the Rockies, in a pretty non-competitive game tonight, losing. Wow, this fly just wants to sit in the shot. So I apologize if you guys keep seeing a little zzz flying around the screen. I'm trying to shoo him away. I don't even know where he is right now. But, so it goes, right? We got to roll with the punches here on the Locked On Rockies postcast. I'm sure you're playing the outfield. You got to do a little swat, little sweat. I'm sure it was muggy out there in Washington and whatnot. But, the other thing that's disappointing about this game tonight, and kind of doing some research for the show, is this is a Nationals team that has not really been playing their best baseball as of late. And look, Washington's one of the few teams that is also on the outside, pretty much completely on the outside looking in. And it's just one of those situations where another winnable game for the Rockies after they get off to a good start in this one, or in this series last night, excuse me. And the thing that's disappointing to me is the Washington Nationals had only scored 14 runs while losing 5 of their last 6 games. So 14 runs over the course of their last 6 ball games. So let's do some quick math. What is 9 times 6? 54? 54 innings and only 14 runs. That is definitely not a recipe for success for this Washington Nationals ball club. And of course, and look, it's law of averages, right? You're not going to be down for that long. Eventually things are going to go the other way, right? It's been the same case for the Rockies where they've scored 1 run, 2 runs like they did tonight. But we've also seen them, bounce back in games where they score 6 runs, 7 runs, 10 runs, a dozen runs. And that's just kind of the way that it goes, especially when there's so many games throughout the course of the season. But when you kind of have to kick them when they're down, I know that's a harsh thing to say, especially when you're surging here a little bit. And by all accounts, the Rockies haven't won 3 or 4, taking down the Padres in that series over the weekend at home. I mean, that is riding high for the Colorado Rockies by their standards, at least. And to come into Washington, East Coast road trip, and beat them in the first game, and then to lay an egg here tonight on this Wednesday, losing 6-1, a little disappointing. And I know that the Rocky fan is naturally conditioned for disappointment at this point, right? It's been 5 years of non-competitive baseball just about, and you kind of just have to roll with the punches. But I think that's one of those situations tonight where I don't want to say it was a completely winnable game, and we mentioned it, the Luis Garcia home run there, the 3-run shot in the bottom of the 3rd inning kind of dug the Rockies their grave. But you got to figure out a way to try to be a little bit more competitive in these games down the stretch. And maybe it's, I don't want to say by design, but, you're leaning into this youth movement, maybe trying to experiment a little bit. Like the wins and the losses don't necessarily matter as much. It's more of a pride thing at this point for the organization, I would say. But, if you're a regular listener to this Locked On Rockies postcast, you know what I'm going to say right now. You can't dig yourself into holes consistently and expect to come out the other side. Right? A 1-run deficit, a 2-run deficit, even a 3-run deficit, even maybe in some instances a 4-run deficit, which the Rockies were facing at some point tonight, is workable, right? You can't bank on a grand slam, but a double here, a single there, a home run here, right? And you can crawl yourself back into this ball game. But, when you have a young, inexperienced pitcher on the bump like you did tonight in Tanner Gordon, again, he's 0 for 5 with a 7.55 ERA. Your margins for error just get slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. Like we got Cal Quantrill on the mound tomorrow, who we'll talk about here in just a moment. Like a little bit of a different situation because Cal Quantrill's been pretty good for the Rockies this season. Kyle Freeland, who I know has been a little up and down in his last start or two, but you feel confident when Freeland's out there, at least post injured list stint. Herman Marquez, when he's on, right, you feel confident out there. It's when you have a combination of inexperienced pitching and an offense in a lineup that is inconsistent as ever, that it's a little bit of a crapshoot, with these games on a night in and a night out basis. So we'll have to see if they can bounce back tomorrow. Like I said, reason for optimism in the sense that they can still win the series, which I think would be a tremendous victory. And that's the other thing. It doesn't matter if you lose 6-1 or if you lose 3-1, like the Rockies beat the Nationals last time. A win is a win and a loss is a loss. The biggest thing is short-term memory, little fishbowl mentality. You got to get out there tomorrow, try to bounce back, and, see what you can do and try to salvage this series. But looking at the lineup tonight, pretty non-competitive from the Rockies lineup. They had 6 hits tonight, also committed an error in the field, only scored that 1 run, as we mentioned, it was an RBI off the bat of Brendan Rodgers there in the top half of the 7th inning. But at that point, you're already down 6-0. And, when you score your first run of the game in the 7th inning, you've essentially got nine or fewer outs to work with. I mean, like I said, your margins just become slimmer and slimmer and slimmer the more that you kind of play this style of baseball. And, it is what it is. But looking at the lineup tonight, Chuck Nasty had a base hit. He's hitting .252 tonight. Tovar 0-4 tonight. And again, if you're a regular listener of the postcast, what is the recipe for success for the Rockies? Ezekiel Tovar and Brenton Doyle having decent games to play. Tovar tonight 0-4 with a strikeout. Nothing really working from him. Brenton Doyle, though, did have himself a nice game, a pair of hits. He also punched out, but he's hitting .271 now. Wow, Tovar hitting .272 and Doyle hitting .271. A little bit of a duality there. Ryan McMahon, who's been on a little bit of a true slump since being the lone all-star for the Colorado Rockies. He had a base hit tonight, but he's hitting 247 now. He also punched out. Brendan Rodgers, as we mentioned, a pair of hits and the lone RBI tonight for the Rockies, but zeros, goose eggs across the board from there. Michael Toglia, Nolan Jones, Beck, and Romo all 0-4 at that point with multiple strikeouts. Toglia punched out, Nolan Jones punched out, and Drew Romo, who had his first career hit at the big league level yesterday, punched out twice. So he struggled. The Rockies tonight striking out a total of 7 times. That is not a recipe for success. But okay, folks, let's hit our final break. When we come back, we'll put a bow on the show already. Man, these shows just absolutely fly by. A couple of closing thoughts on the game tonight, and we'll also take a look at what is ahead for the Colorado Rockies in the series finale against the Washington Nationals. So stick with us, folks. I'm Aniello Piro. This is your Locked On Rockies postcast. We'll hit this quick break, come back, and do just that. Back in just a few minutes. All right, you guys, let me tell you about our friends over at Prize Picks, because Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. With over 5 million active members, Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community today. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50. It's guaranteed, or $50 bonus, not bucks, $50 bonus. It's guaranteed with our friends over at Prize Picks. Here's a really cool promo that they're running as well for the month of September. 1 Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on Prize Picks every single football weekend in September. That's right. Only 1 yard gets you an automatic win in every football weekend in September. 4 weeks of free W's. Don't miss out on this deal, because Prize Picks is where it's at, and this deal will be gone at the end of September. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is also available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So do me a favor, folks, download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, run your game. Be sure to check them out. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. And folks, football season is here. It's time. Get involved with our friends over at Prize Picks and let them know that Locked On Rockies sent you. All right, folks. Final segment here. Welcome on back into your Locked On Rockies postcast. I am your host with the most, Aniello Piro. Hope you guys are doing well, staying warm and dry, or I guess cool. Still hot out there. It's still summertime, but hope you're staying dry. It's been coming down out here in the Denver metro area. But as always, folks, if you want to follow me on social media, you can do so at Media by AP. Also, make sure to subscribe to the Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. That way you never miss an episode of your Locked On Rockies postcast. I'm also the host of the Locked On Broncos postcast, and Bo Nix was named the starting quarterback for the Orange and Blue today, so we'll have some fun with that when the regular season gets going. And I'm also the host of the Locked On Buffs podcast, and they are the most polarizing story and most polarizing team in all of sports. So if you're a football head, if you like college, you like the NFL, you like the Buffs, you like the Broncos, make sure to subscribe to the channel so that way you never miss an episode of your Locked On Sports Denver postcast. Rockies, Broncos, Buffs, we got you covered, and I think we're working on something for the hoop season as well. So stick with us on that front, folks. Make sure to subscribe, and away we go. But like I said, all in all tonight for the Rockies, some closing thoughts. Not a lot cooking for them. Non-competitive is what it is. On to the next. And I've said it a few times now throughout the course of the show. Doesn't matter if you win 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, it could be whatever, right? But a win is a win, a loss is a loss. And the reality of the situation is the Rockies have an opportunity to go back to the park tomorrow, do what they need to do, and come out with a series victory. At the end of the day, you can't win them all. You can't sweep them all. Look at the record. Obviously, that's the case. But this is a game tomorrow that the Rockies should absolutely, positively have a chance to win. And like I said, fishbowl mentality. You had a young guy on the mound tonight in Tanner Gordon who has yet to win a game at the big league level, at least this season. And I'm not trying to say that I can't predict anything. The Rockies Tanner Gordon could have come out tonight and looked like Cy Young himself, and Brenton Doyle and Tovar could have hit 3 home runs themselves, right? You never know when it comes to these games and whatnot. But you also, when you look at Tanner Gordon, you look at the lineup and you look at the current state of the team, it's not a surprise that tonight's game played out as it did, right? You still got to play it out. You got to see how it all shakes out and whatnot. But whereas tomorrow, I think the Rockies are going to be set up for success, have a little bit of that bad taste in their mouth after dropping this game tonight in pretty non-competitive fashion. So at least Brendan Rodgers is swinging the bat well. Brenton Doyle continues to stay hot, but those were really the only lone bright spots for the Rockies offense tonight. I mean, everybody else, pretty much crickets, a base hit here, a base hit there, but the bottom half of that lineup, folks, I mean, yeah, your 6, 7, 8, and 9 hitters were all hitless tonight. All of them hitless. I mean, how are you going to win games that way? Toglia, Nolan Jones, Beck, and Romo. Hitless. So that on top of some inexperienced pitching, the 3-run home run there from Luis Garcia Jr. ends up doing the Rockies in tonight. But okay, let's take a look at what is going down on the diamond tomorrow for Colorado. As we had mentioned earlier in the program, it will be Cal Quantrill scheduled to take the bump for the Rocks tomorrow. He's 8-8 with a 4.59 ERA and 97 strikeouts. And it'll be Patrick Corbin. Again, the Rockies can't beat Patrick Corbin, who has been one of the worst consistent starting pitchers in Major League Baseball over the last 3 or 4 seasons at least. Man, that is it's going to leave a bad taste in your mouth. And, the Rockies then have to go to New York to take on the Yankees. So you're going to take on a good Yankee squad that's 74-53 after this series. So we'll see what they can do. But Corbin, 2-12 with a 5.92 earned run average and 99 strikeouts on the year. Let's take a look here. Last time out for Cal Quantrill, that was on the 16th of August against the San Diego Padres. He turned in a decent start. Nothing crazy. 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 runs, all of them earned. He gave up 2 home runs in that game, hit a batter as well, but did punch out 5. So, not a quality start necessarily, but serviceable, decent by Rocky standards. So hopefully Cal Quantrill can turn into, and look, like I said, San Diego's a good team, right? And that was actually the second consecutive start for Cal Quantrill against the Padres. He also started against them on August 4th. He gave up 3 earned runs in that one too. So the last 3 starts for Quantrill have been he's been a little up and down here as of late. On the 30th of July, he goes 3 2/3 against the Angels. August 4th, 4 1/3 against the Padres. And then August the 16th, he goes 5 innings against the Padres as well. But this is a guy in Quantrill who for a minute there was giving you what felt like, at least 6 quality innings more often than not. So we'll see how that all kind of plays out for Cal. Been the most consistent pitcher in the Rockies rotation throughout the course of this season. So hopefully he can turn in another good start tomorrow. And for Patrick Corbin, he's 35 years old, not a journeyman, but he's a veteran. He's been around the block, right? His last time out was against the Philadelphia Phillies, and he got shelled on August the 16th. 4 1/3 innings pitched, 7 hits allowed, 2. Well, I guess he only gave 2 earned runs, but the 7 hits aren't great, and 4 1/3 is not great either. It only punched out 2. So back-to-back sub 5 inning starts for Patrick Corbin. He went 4 innings against the Angels on the 10th, and then, as we mentioned, 4 1/3 on the 16th against the Nationals. So that is all she wrote. It'll be Cal Quantrill on the mound taking on Patrick Corbin. Should be a good one. And we've got some AM baseball tomorrow, an 11:05 first pitch here in Colorado. So 1:05 first pitch out there in our nation's capital. So make sure to, I guess you don't have to set your alarm clock, but maybe set a reminder if you're going to watch the game, right, that it's on in the middle of the day or in the latter stages of the morning and whatnot. And we'll see how it all plays out. But the Rockies looking to win this series, looking to win that game tomorrow. And I think they certainly can do it. I think it's a good matchup for them with Quantrill on the mound going up against Patrick Corbin. The key here is as long as Quantrill can stabilize himself a little bit, and the Rockies offense has got to be aggressive and get after Patrick Corbin tomorrow. But all right, folks, that is going to do it for me. Appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning into your Locked On Rockies postcast. You can follow me on social at Media by AP, and make sure to subscribe to the brand new Locked On Sports Denver YouTube channel. Rockies lose tonight 6-1, looking to bounce back and win the series tomorrow. We'll see if they can do just that. But that is it. I'm out. Enjoy your Wednesday night. Stay dry out there. We'll talk to you guys mañana.